Welcome back to KBC News Check, and many thanks for keeping me company on the second hour. As I mentioned earlier, we are looking at youth engagement in peace building, and you will bear me witness that youth and peace is a key ingredient in any country. Look at the 1 month, 2 months we've had a protest. It shows just how the power of the youth, taking about 75% of the population, they really need to be on the forefront in terms of peacemakers. Yesterday was International Youth Day, and I'm also privileged here to have 3 youth who will be telling us more about some of the activities that they are engaging in to ensure that this country is not only peaceful but also safe, now that 75% of the country's population is the youth. I'll begin from my immediate left. Immediate left, we have Vincent Owino, who is the youth champion from the great county of Nairobi. Just next to him, we have Lucy Waidaka, who is the program officer at Youth Arts Development and Entrepreneurship Network East Africa, who shorten it to YEDEN. And just next to him, we have Khalifa Warangi. Khalifa Warangi is a youth champion from Kilifi County. Let me begin with you, Vincent. You're talking about youth champion, and we're talking about peace building. Tell us more about what you're doing to ensure that we champion peace in the country as a youth.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Vincent Owino, YIP Kenya alumni. So YIP is a youth engagement and empowerment program by the United Nations Office of Counter-Terrorism, and also in partnership with other partners like GSAF and YEDEN. So the YIP program is a program that was launched by the UNOCT in partnership with the National Counter-Terrorism Office of Kenya. And it's a program that actually aims at preventing and countering violent extremism. And its main drivers are the young people, the youths of the country. Yeah.
Lucy, you are a program officer at YEDEN. Yes. Kindly shed light on what exactly you are doing at YEDEN to promote peace in the country.
Thank you so much. My name is Lucy Waitaka. I work for an organization called YEDEN East Africa, which in short is YEDEN, but in long is Youth Arts Development and Entrepreneurship Network. Basically, as our name suggests, we work with young people, and especially on youth empowerment and engagement. And our work is to ensure that all youths in the country are accounted for, and that we make sure they count.
All right, and hold the thought, because we need to cross over to Keroka Level 4 Hospital, where the head of state in his 3-day tour of Gusii Lab being constructed in Nyamira. And of course, the connected 10,000 more people will be connected to the power grid. He has also ensured that his clarion call for peace and unity in the region, and especially in the wake of a broad-based government. More in our subsequent bulletin, and also in Kurunzi Mashinani. But other than that, let's go back to a topic of discussion where we are looking at a youth engagement in peace building. I had already introduced Vincent Owino, who is a youth champion right here in the county of Nairobi. We also had introduced Lucy Waidaka, who is the program officer at YEDEN, that is Youth Arts Development and Entrepreneurship Network East Africa, or YEDEN. And just next to her, we also have Khalifa Warangi, who is the youth champion from Kilifi County. Your introduction, kindly.
Thank you so much. My name is Khalifa Salim Warangi, and I'm from Kwale County. I'm a YIP alumni, Kenya, and also I'm a founder of Diani Youth Beach Cleaning, which is a youth-led marine conservation in Diani municipality. Yeah.
And when we talk about, first of the things, when we talk about youth and peace building, before even we look at some of the efforts that we have been or you guys have been engaged in, let's be very honest. At the coast, we had some violent extremism a couple of years back. In northeastern, we also had the Al-Shabaab. Also, we also have had some cases in some parts of Kenya. But that has not been. In the last couple of years, we haven't had any issues of violent extremism. Of course, we have had some issues with the Al-Shabaab, but the efforts to ensure that youth are not radicalized are bearing fruits, and especially in the coast. I would like you to touch on that.
Okay, first of all, you know, peace building is a responsive and a preventative approach to violent extremism. So when we begin, peace building is a broad concept, and it requires like multiple thinking and multi-sectoral and multi-agency efforts to achieve it. It's true that at the coast region, which is currently known as Mombasa region, there have been cases of violent extremism. But we should understand that this happens because there are pull and push factors. We should first deepen into the root causes which lead to violent extremism. For example, like historical injustices and the issues to do with the governance, justice and rule of law. Yeah.
And let me go back to Lucy. What are some of the initiatives, the peace initiative that you have been involved in the last couple of weeks, months, or even 1 year?
Thank you for the question. As Yarden, one of our biggest things is to make sure that youth feel involved, and not only involved, but that they have a voice and that voice matters. And I think, seeing from what has been happening in the country, I think that has been a big issue with young people. One of the reasons why we supported the YIP initiative is because some of the challenges that were there that were making it impossible for youth to participate in peace building, and especially in preventing and countering violent extremism, has been that there've been very little funding for youth-led initiatives. Which means that youth-led initiatives were not being amplified. So everybody was assuming young people are either not interested or are not doing enough. But the little they were doing was not being amplified enough. Also, there was lack of capacity building for a lot of youth, and especially youth-led organizations. So one of the biggest reasons why we supported this is so that they can get the training that they need, they can get the information, they can get the content to be able to be part of the conversation on preventing violent extremism. One also other thing is that there have been no deliberate inclusion of young people on the discussion table, and yet from what you've seen is that the face, so to say, of violent extremism is young people. So if they are the target for recruiters, why are they also not target for peace building? So one of the ways that we've been doing that is making sure that we fund in our own way small initiatives by young people so that they can also feel they're contributing to it, ensuring that we link them up with people who can provide capacity building, like UNOCTC, like NCTC, making sure that they are part of the county engagement forums. These are the forums that are in every county that are mandated to deal with issues PCV. So making sure that young people are also included in it and that they are part of it. We've been doing a lot, and especially bringing youth together, making sure they have a platform where they can discuss these issues and also give ideas, because sometimes I feel we come up with all these great ideas on how young people can be involved and how young people can be part of the fight against terrorism, but we don't ask them. And sometimes young people have innovative ideas that we cannot think of, you know, especially when it comes to digital. And we know the newest war is on the digital space.
Yes.
Who better than people who have grown up with technology, you know? So that have been some of our efforts in making sure that youth are part of it and that they are doing their part.
Yeah. And let me, Vincent, let me build up from where Lucy has left it, which is quite commendable in terms of social media. Even my kids are far much better social media practitioners than I am, and we saw how youth organized themselves, and especially during the Mandamanos. This can be used for the greater good, and especially on social media spaces as well. What exactly are you doing on the social media spaces to ensure that you also promote the peace and cohesion that we require in the country?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. First of all, I would like to mention and echo what Khalifa had said. You know, at YIP, what we do, we focus on preventing and countering violent extremism, which is a process towards peace building. So some of the programs that we've been doing, actually, we've conducted a peer engagement with the young people on the socials. So that's one thing that we've been doing in the digital platforms. So in conducting peer engagement, we intended, or our objective was to get their views and to get their understanding of violent extremism. And actually, we managed to reach, in the last 3 months, we've managed to reach over 300 youths, and they've given us their views and opinions on violent extremism. So first of all, maybe to take you back a bit on what violent extremism really is and how it marries with peace building. So violent extremism in a layman's, it can be understood as an idea where individuals or a group of individuals supports use of violence that is backed by some extreme ideologies. So they support use of violence to cause harm or maybe to provoke people. Backed by extreme ideologies. So the extreme ideologies could be anything that people or a group of individuals believes in. Yeah. So at YIP, we've been doing those peer engagements for the last 3 months, and that was a culmination from the trainings that we've had, and the trainings were actually the trainings were conducted by the UNOCT, that is the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism, and the National Counterterrorism Center of Kenya. So you realize that the YIP alumni people, they have got training on how to deal or maybe to disseminate information on countering violent extremism in the country. Yeah.
Khalifa, picking from what Vincent has outlined in terms of violent extremism, mostly these young men and women, and especially those who had been recruited, you do remember when we had a severe issue with the Al-Shabaab, they were promised very lucrative deals in terms of every month we'll be giving you this, we'll give you this so that you may live to your parents, but we need you to do ABCD. How are we reforming some of those people who had a stint and they had been radicalized? How are we reintegrating them back into the society?
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, de-radicalization and rehabilitation of young people is among our objectives as YIP. You know, the deals, for example, what you are saying, that the youths are recruited into violent extremist group because they are promised some deals. That comes back to the issue I've earlier raised, the issue to do with the governance and service delivery. For example, if places or there are gaps that government cannot fill, maybe providing job opportunities. You see, another counterpart, maybe a violent extremist group take that position to provide the opportunity. You will find that people legitimize that position to a violent extremist group, and they found themselves recruited into certain groups. So it is very, very impossible for young people to be recruited into violent extremist group without no reason. As I've said earlier, there are root causes, and including among the causes, it's issues to do with the unemployment. So if the government cannot fulfill that gap, you find that violent extremist group lure them and use that as an advantage to recruit them into their groups. Yeah.
Lucy, as a network, how are you involving and engaging youth in arts development and entrepreneur to ensure that they advocate for peace and tolerance? Because those are some of the things that are causing jitters every time we have issues, peace issues in the country.
Maybe just to add on what you said before I get to what you've asked. As a community or as young people, it's hard to be part of de-radicalization, because it takes a lot for a person to be declared finally radicalized enough and rehabilitated, and now can be reintegrated into the society. Yeah? So that mandate is taken over by NCTC, who have psychologists, who, you go through the justice system, and after you're done, then you can go through the de-radicalization process. But maybe what as YIP and as YADEN we can do is work with the community to ensure that once you've been given all the clear that now you can be reintegrated back to the community, that the community also learns to accept you, that they can take you back and ensure that you don't relapse. Now, use of arts. When we talk about violent extremism, we usually say it's a battle of hearts and minds. It's people fighting for you to believe in what they're saying, for you to buy into their ideology. What better way is there for you to target heartstrings other than use of art? Sometimes you listen to good music and you feel, you know, inspired, you feel touched. So we do the same thing. We use art to ensure that we pass the message. We make people think, you know, like, oh, okay, maybe I should have thought of that. Because one of the things that we find is young people are recruited to violent extremism by the virtue that they're young people. And what do I mean by that? They're going to look for adventure. They're going out there because ni maju. They're going out there because they think it's cool to hold a gun or to, you know, to be in those funny Al-Shabaab videos. But what we do by using art, and by art I mean all forms. We do short films, we do music, we do poetry, we do spoken words. What we try to do with that is tell young people that the road to radicalization has no return. Once you leave and you're associated with terrorism, coming back is extremely hard. Because the terrorists will not let you go. And when you come here, you have to also deal with government that have to keep citizens safe. So we use that a lot to ensure that the message is there, and also to counter all those funny messages that are put out by the terrorists. Because they also do the same thing. You know, they also put out interesting songs, interesting videos, interesting TikTok videos to attract young people. In terms of entrepreneurship, as you said, one of the biggest push factors for young people is the fact that they're not earning a living, they're not jobs. Or enough jobs. But what we do is we tell young people to sometimes stop expecting the government is going to provide everyone with employment. It's impossible. And also that you can start your own business, and it does not necessarily require money capital. Like, use your social capital to start a business, leverage on your family, on friends, on community to do something. And also we try to take off the mindset that business has to be a certain way or business has to look a certain way. And also one of the funny things we discovered is that when young people are doing business, regardless of what business, they're always doing it waiting for employment. Nashikilia hapa while I wait for which means the business never grows. Because you're not doing it with your whole heart, with your passion. You're still waiting for something else to come along. So we work on attitude, you know, attitudes towards life, attitudes towards business, attitudes towards your community, and attitudes towards yourself. So it's a whole holistic approach to ensuring that young people do not get anywhere near violent extremism.
Exactly, indeed. And Vincent, I'm looking at, there's a time I interviewed an officer from the counterterrorism agency, and he talked about reintegration of those people who have undergone violent extremism or radicalization. As a youth now and your network, how are you reintegrating these people back? Because as I think Lucy mentioned, even after the radicalization, people will still view you in a very different way.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. You know, as Lucy has mentioned, that the process of de-radicalization and reintegration is not a one-time process. It's a process, like, it's not a one-time event. So as a YIP, what we can do to reintegrate an individual, first of all, we need to conduct civic education in the community on why they should accept an individual. So the process of reintegration is exclusively left to the psychosocial support systems and the side of the NCTC, that is the government. So what we can do, we talk, you know, as a country right now, as you've said that the youths makes the 70% of the population. So to get rid of the stigma, you know, and all that, so we need to conduct civic education on why we should accept, like, the returnees. We call them returnees, So basically that's what we can do.
And also building bridges. How are youth being engaged, Khalifa, to building bridges? Because all these things do not stem from one thing. Some are ethnic, some are religious, some are cultural. How do you ensure that these are some of the things that do not interfere with the peace building process?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, at YIP Kenya, it's a collective responsibility. Youth were selected from various counties around the country. So that has already brought diversity. So we were put together, like, to bring our local insight and ideas towards PCVE and peace building together. So I can say that youth, the Gen Zs are together. The issue of ethnicity, the issues of religion is something of past. But what I believe is that young people, it's a high time now they are included when it comes to decision making in matters prevention and countering of violent extremism. For the longest time, young people have been considered as just beneficiaries or participants, just to sit a place and sign for a token, but they are not put on the table for them to decide, because sometimes decisions are made which are short-term thinking and are not for the shared futures of the youth. Yeah.
Lucy, Khalifa has brought up something very interesting in terms of governance, and let's be very honest. The demos, even the president lauded the energy of the youth, talking about we are tribeless, we are fearless, and we are leaderless. But let's just face the facts. In 2022, the largest chunk of those people who did not even get the voters card, who did not go to the ballot, were young people. Over 8 million people didn't vote, and the biggest chunk of that were young people. They have made their voices known and heard. We are here. So in the next maybe general election or in the governance system of the country, they really need to be on that table. What are some of the issues or things that you're doing to ensure that in the next either election or in the next governance structures, the youths have a say, and that say is heard, and especially in the 2027 general election?
When I started, I said one of the things that we do at Yaden is making sure that all youth are accounted for and to make sure that they count. And which is why we support initiatives like YEPA, because then we know there's like right now I'm 100% sure there are 22 young people from all over the country that have been sensitized and have been trained on PCV matters, which means in those counties that they come from, there is someone with knowledge, with content, and with reach, and in touch with young people. So meaning that's a resource in that county. They can reach out to other young people, they can engage other young people, and this is where we need to go. One of the, you were right, in the last election there was a lot of apathy from young people and thinking politics has nothing to do with us, or this, it's for old people. But then when government policies start affecting them, when they are told they will be tasked for their TikTok videos, that's when it becomes real. Like, oh, okay, so governance is this. So I think that's a good wake-up call that we've had, that young people finally understand that politics is in every aspect of our lives. So maybe now, what I would urge, and we'll be working with the YEP alumni to do this, is to ensure that now they understand correctly, that they understand the policies, that they understand how this touches us, they understand how this affects their lives, because then they are compelled to do something. Right now, I am sure they're all running to get IDs for those who don't have. I can see them agitating online for IDs to come out because they've been taking too long, and this is the right step. The fact that now they can argue with facts, the fact that now they understand, oh, so having an MP actually matters because they are in charge of this aspect of my life. So I think it has been a good thing, and I'm hoping that as YEP alumni, it's your job to ensure that young people have the content, have the you know, some of the things that we say about young people is that they don't have what is the word I'm looking for? They don't have the correct thinking. But now with people who have already been taken through the capacity building, with people who are knowledgeable, it's time to share. It's time to shine with your knowledge and make sure that other young people are shining with you. Then they will be unstoppable.
That's a good mindset to actually to put it. And as we wrap up, I'm looking at some of the challenges, that the security challenge we've had in the country, one of them being violent extremism, just as you guys have acknowledged. What are some of the challenges that you as an organization are facing in trying first to ensure that no more violent extremism, and actually in the rehabilitation process of some of the youths that have gone this lane?
Well, first of all, let me get back to what Lucy has just said. I think we'll take the challenge and maybe get out there and engage the youth, just as our name suggests, youth engagement and empowerment. So we'll get out there and engage the youth, first of all, on issues countering violent extremism. So to come to your question, well, one of the challenges has been resources. You know, we are 22 people from 17 counties, some are as far as from Mandera County, and you know, we need to get there and engage individuals, young people on issues violent extremism. We need to tell someone like a small child, do you know what violent extremism is? How can we prevent violent extremism? How can we mitigate? So one of the challenges has been resources. Another thing, information gap. Whatever we are dealing with right now, it's not a really new thing, but it's something that most people don't understand, especially the youths. You know, so one of the things we're dealing with is the information gap. So we are actually starting with them from the unknown to make them understand, because in most cases people talk about violent extremism and terrorism when there is an attack. For example, you hear that there is an ID attack in Mandera, an ID attack in Kwale, or maybe a terror suspect has been arrested in Siaya. That's when you get people talk about violent extremism. But then again, you get out there, you find a random person, you ask him, what do you know by violent extremism? He'll tell you that he's a terrorist. And then what else? So first of all, we are dealing with the lack of information, yes. You know, and some of the suggestions that we present out there is that maybe other institutions can come in and maybe try and bridge the gap together with the YIP. That's what we are doing, to bridge the gap, make people understand what violent extremism is, and now take them through the processes and teachings on how can we prevent violent extremism.
All right, even how for over 400 people are able to be bundled up in a forest and told to starve to death. That is a form of violent extremism. But thank you so much indeed. Unfortunately, we're out of time. This has been Vincent Owino, who is the youth champion and also honor program officer at YEP. Just next to him, we have Lucy Waithaka from it's a big one. Youth Arts Development and Entrepreneurship Network East Africa, that is YADEN. And also we have somebody from YEP and also a youth champion from the Coast Region, Khalifa Warangi. Thank you indeed for making time, and thank you so much indeed for your insight. My name is Bentro Enjoy. Brian Muraru has been our sign language interpreter for this second hour. Thank you, and of course, I'm handing the baton to the Swahili desk for Kurunzi Mashinani and Tamrini. Have a good one.